Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features hundreds of success stories from students of the premier e commerce training program in the world. I know I sound a little biased, but wow, I can't find any other podcasts out there that have hundreds of interviews with their successful students. That's what we have here. I'm talking about the Proven Amazon course. Did you know that Amazon sales in the United States represent nearly half of all economic activity online every day? Did you know that we've only started to tap the tip of the iceberg of the growth that's anticipated in e commerce and on Amazon? This is an explosive opportunity and we're creating success stories every day around here. Jump into our free Facebook group. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. You can jump in there, see for yourself. We've got about 1,900 success posts in that Facebook group. People jumping in saying, wow, this works. Look, here's my statistics. Here's what's happening. Now, you're building a real business. Building a real business means there's going to be risk, blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, moments of confusion, moments of desperation, even at times, possibly. But the system we've built is a very slow and steady, low risk, nice, predictable learning curve into e commerce. And today is another great interview with another student who is using the skills he's learned from our course and community to build a beautiful business. As a matter of fact, recently, his full time job, yes, he has a full time job while he's doing all of this, cut way back on his pay. And he needed the cash. Fortunately, he spent about the last year building a beautiful business that more than supplemented his income, and he's having tremendous success. The future looks very bright, and this very easily could become his full time gig at the point where that becomes necessary. He's doing the replens system that you've heard us talk about so much around here. When many of our episodes feature success stories of people, I'd say the vast majority, if not nearly all of the success stories, people started with the replens model. Our guest today did that, scaled it up. He explains beautifully what that model is. And I love his explanation of that. You're going to enjoy that segment. He even sold a few books at the beginning of his journey, but we don't encourage that. We spend a little bit of time talking about his book selling adventure. It's an interesting way, perhaps, to get into Amazon. You'll have a lot of people out there who are still encouraging people to get into books selling on Amazon. We don't encourage selling used books simply because the storage fees at Amazon are so high and it's so hard to find good inventory. It can be a bit of a waste of time to try to scale in that direction. But your first few items, if they happen to be books, no big deal. It's not a problem. Just don't go deep down that rabbit hole because it's so much work for so little return in comparison to the other models. But enjoy that part of our conversation for sure today. He talks about branded bundles that he started moving into. Matter of fact, a recent month, he said he had $4,700 worth of sales of his own branded bundles, which is simply a mix of common components that are easily sourced retail. Maybe it's a cake mix and a mixing bowl, and a couple other items are easily sourced, along with an item that you bring that's a little harder to source that adds value, tremendous value to the bundle. And then customers can buy that. But more importantly, you can have some good margins and other sellers can't hop on your listing on Amazon. So we spent some time talking about that concept. If you're interested in exploring that, by the way, provenbrandedbundles.com is one of the modules in our comprehensive collection of a library of training modules for Amazon sellers. If you want all those modules, you can go to provenamazoncourse.com. You can choose a monthly pay option or you can pay one time and you get all the benefits for life, either way that you go. But all of the modules that we teach around here, if they're not in there yet, they will be soon. Everything you hear us talking about on this show, all the different strategies, they go into that course, all our different events, the recordings of our live webinars each month, it's all in there. And we're constantly revamping and adding new strategies there. So that's provenamazoncourse.com. You can get all the details there. What else did we want to cover before we jump in? I think that's about it. I mean, he has a lot of very positive things to say about the friendships that he's created in this group. The fact that he only started with $500, that's another significant point for sure. Didn't point that out yet. He didn't use any credit cards. He didn't get any loans. He just rolled his money over that he made. He started with $500, did everything for 500. For those of you who are maybe new and never heard us go through this before, what are those initial startup costs to do Amazon the way we teach it here? Well, you got to sign up for an Amazon seller account. You want a pro account, costs about $39 a month. You're going to need a tool called Keepa, which we talk about in podcast episode 369 of this podcast. Scroll back and listen to it. It's a little older episode, but 100% relevant. Podcast 369 describes Keepa, why we love it, how we use it. That's going to cost you about $20 a month or so. And then you need the Proven Amazon course, which is about $39 a month for you, or you can pay one time and get out of the monthly plan altogether. But you could do it a month at a time if you'd like, $39 a month. That's it. A few dollars for inventory, you're off to the races. You're rolling your money over. Because it's typical to see 30, 50, 80, 110%, 200% ROI on the items that you're rolling over, going back and buying the same items, selling them over and over again. Very minimal commitments initially to your inventory, meaning you're only selling 2, 3, 4 units at a time of any given ASIN, any given listing on Amazon. But if you roll your money over enough, it turns into a nice pile of investment funds that you can do some pretty cool stuff with fairly quickly. That's the strategy we teach here. It's called the REPLENS model. Once you've done that, you can get into so many other crazy, cool, interesting, fun models. And our guest today, Jonathan, spends some time talking about that as well. So he started with just a few dollars. Now he's doing some cool stuff. And I think he's on a leadership journey personally, meaning I think we'll see him around as a content creator, maybe even a coach on our team at some point. And he will be with his family at the Proven Conference, Orlando, May of 2024, May 23rd through 25th is the exact dates. Get over to this website. It's 3 words, The Proven Conference. Theprovenconference.com is the site. Tickets will be on sale pretty soon, if they're not already, as the time of this podcast popping out. You need to grab your VIP tickets very quickly if you want to come VIP, because those will almost certainly sell out very, very quickly. The event itself could potentially sell out this year, although we typically try to get way more room than we think we're going to need just in case. But we're expecting 700 plus people this year. It's going to be big. Got a lot of good stuff happening in this community. Over 40 breakout sessions talking about topics from everything from beginner to the most advanced Amazon sellers. We got people there who have their brand that started on Amazon in 35,000 retail stores. We got students at that level. I talked to one of them today. We also got students who started yesterday and they're clueless and they need some help. And they're just still trying to figure out if this is legitimate. Everything in between. It's a conference for anyone who wants to use the internet creatively to launch and grow the business of their dreams. All kinds of topics, specializing in Amazon, of course, but all kinds of great topics on the floor. You want to be a part of this event. We will have a virtual live stream experience for you for a few dollars if you're interested in that as well. So look for those details on the website, but we really want you to be there in person. It's such a different experience. So like I said, Jonathan, our guest say Jonathan Barnhisel is his name. We spent some great time today and you're going to enjoy this conversation. Let us know what you think. One last little request. I haven't done this in a long time. Please jump onto iTunes and leave us a review if you enjoy this podcast. If this is speaking into your life, if this is beneficial to you, tell others about it. Send a few friends to silentjimdotcom. We do no paid marketing here. This is all word of mouth. 20 years, we've done all word of mouth. Success stories are our marketing, telling the stories of the students who are succeeding using the strategies we teach. That's our marketing plan. So you telling other people what this community means to you is a huge lift for us, because again, we don't do paid marketing. We want to keep our prices as low as possible, serve as many people as possible. We believe in the word of mouth marketing methods. We may do some paid at some point. We may play with it soon. We've been saying that for years. We haven't yet. We rely on you. So please send friends to silentjim.com. Tell them about this podcast. Let them know how it's helped you. And send us a few good people from your circle of influence who could possibly use the internet creatively to add to their income and be surrounded by some really good people. Enjoy the conversation today. That's enough of an intro. Thanks for hanging out with us. You're going to enjoy this. Hey, Jonathan, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you, Jim. Thank you, first of all, for having me on here. I'm like nervous, excited, a little emotional about it because when I first heard your podcast, I was like, man, I can't wait to be on that. So thank you for having me.
That's an honor, man. That's cool. I love to hear that. That's great. I love when listeners count this as a bit of a benchmark on their journey. And I'll just affirm that because Part of being in business is you are on a leadership journey. And part of leadership is always getting your name out there, getting your face out there, talking about what it is you're doing, sharing openly. And that will lead to hopefully many opportunities for you as well as the people who hear your story today. So I'm excited to get into it, man. Well, the floor is yours. Let's hear that story, buddy.
Yeah, so I got into e-commerce exactly 1 year ago, or more or less, about a year ago is when I got into it. I did the same thing a lot of people do, scrolling Facebook, you start to see all these ads about, get into Facebook FBA, now's the time, and I saw that people were doing it, didn't know where to go, so I just, I went on YouTube and I fell into this Facebook page that promoted private label, and I thought that was like the key to get in. I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds so easy. Just buy from here, sell for this much money." I'm already telling my wife how rich I'm going to be so quickly, and paid for a course. I forgot the name of the course, but it was just like upsell after upsell after upsell, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I had originally backed off of it. I was turned off by that alone, and at my current employer, there was a guy that used to work with me, and he decided to just quit. And before he left, I asked him what he was doing. He said, "I'm going to go do my Amazon thing." And I was like, "My Amazon thing?" So I kind of rekindled that original flame. I said, "Well, I know him, and he's doing something with Amazon." So I started to kind of poke his brain. He's like, "Yeah, man, I do Amazon FBA." Slowly but surely, got into I got into this, I forgot, it was called FBA for beginners. And while I was in there, there was a lot of negativity. So it took me back a little bit because the entire page was just people complaining about how it's saturated. So I was starting to back off again. And this angel came from nowhere. And I don't know if she's going to be cool with me saying her name, but her name is Michelle Christ. She happened to send me a Facebook message, and she said, "Hey, come check this out," which was my silent sales team. And as soon as I got in there, I was like, "Man, this feels like home." And that's where I started.
That's a great story. I love it. And, just to fill in a gap in case there's any new listeners around here who haven't heard me say this before, but if you get online and say, "Hey, I want to build a business on Amazon," I've heard some good things. Maybe they've heard that half of all transactions every day on the internet are through Amazon.com in the United States. That's half of all the business almost online, one website. So there's a lot of ways to make money. You hear these stories of these people doing well. So you jump on YouTube, like, "Yeah, I want to learn how to do this." About 90% of the content, however, is going to push you down the road that you just described, Jonathan, of, "Hey, let's launch your own product. Let's sell you an expensive course and then upsell you some expensive coaching and then upsell you some expensive products and then upsell you some expensive processes and software." And you look over your shoulder 8 or 9 months later, and this is literally an estimated 90 to 95% of everyone who goes down that road ends up with 20 to $30,000 of expenses,
Mhm.
a garage full of products they can't sell, an angry spouse because they can't get their car in the garage. Like, a lot of people find themselves there. We're not loud about what we do around here. It's word of mouth only. We don't do any paid advertising or marketing. This is the podcast, and word of mouth is it. So Michelle reached out to you and said, "Hey, we do things differently over here. Come check it out." And
Right.
that's how we end up with all of our success stories. Is people say, "Well, okay, there's a different way, a lower risk way," and that's what you discovered. It sounds like, even though I don't know your full story yet, but it sounds like
Yeah.
you discovered a slightly different approach. So excited that you found us, and grateful that you did as well.
Same here. So the first transaction I made with Amazon was I got into selling books because I got, through your page, through other YouTubers, I just saw people started selling books. So I said, okay, well, that's very low cost, and let me learn a little bit about this. So I did a few weeks of buying books from local thrift stores, sending them into Amazon, not knowing what's going to happen. And I remember, like, a week and a half later, or after it was checked in, I sold my first book. Forgot the name of the book. I got to go back and see the title, but that one sell of me selling some used book for $10 was like the best sell. And that was the
Yeah.
moment I was instantly hooked into Amazon, because I was like, okay, it's proven.
It's
So
proof of concept, validated, right? And just
exactly.
as a little warning, we don't typically encourage new sellers to jump into books, at least not deep, because the long-term storage fees are ridiculous. We used to do that. It's been a few years. Now we're more, let's get you into replens and other models. But just getting those first few sales of anything is so validating. Okay, this works. And I'm glad that you had that moment.
hmm Yeah. So just to add on to the story, so this was like when I was barely coming into my side in sales. This was like literally right as I was transitioning. Because when Michelle reached out to me, I still hadn't gone into the page too much. She had really pressed it like, no, this is really good. There's this many people, this is really good. And I was still didn't know which way to go. I didn't know her, because I've gotten a lot of messages where people, say do this, do that, but really they're trying to upsell me to something. But I
Right.
didn't get the vibe from her. So part of my story is I did the books. I I enjoyed it, but I wanted to transition out of it because I knew that it was a treasure hunt. Prior to transitioning, and I'll get into how I really fully launched, headfirst into joining uh, my silent sales. I went to every Goodwill, bought a bunch of books, sold some, and I started going to different what's it called, different platforms where they would give away free books or sell things. And long
Okay.
story short, when it comes to books, I saw this guy was selling 700 textbooks for about $3,000 to $5,000. And when I got there, I negotiated with the guy and I pretty much convinced them to sell it me the whole lot for about $200. And there's a lot of details behind that. And I won't go too far into it, but the guy ended up selling me the entire lot for about $200 because they were paying $1,200 a month per storage, and they weren't turning over those books. So
Ah, okay.
books, I couldn't sell. This is one of my learning points. There's a lot of books that I could not sell because publishers, they restrict things. So
Amazon really restricts textbooks on their
yes,
platform, and it's hard to move them otherwise. Although I do have a tip on how to do that that we can hit before we get away from this segment, but keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. So I was able to sell a few of them and then realized like, man, I'm not going to be able to sell all these books. I'm restricted on pretty much the other half. So then I put out a Facebook ad, and I said, hey, I have, 600 or however many I had left, about 2,000 textbooks. I said, if you're an Amazon seller, don't reach out to me. But if you're an eBay seller, come on down. And I ended up selling that entire lot of books for about $1,000. So I
Cool.
turned over a profit from buying the books at 200, and then I turned over a profit for selling them.
For 1,000. And you sold a few along the way too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And there were all the ones that I was able to sell.
Okay.
Once
Are
I
you
got it.
are you familiar with, I'm sorry not to interrupt you, but I just want to make this is for you and for the listeners. Have you heard of our Safe Book Profits course? And I can tell you the basic premise if not.
No, I haven't.
Safe Book Profits? Okay. So there are bulk book buyers out there who will buy, you just send them, hey, here's the titles I've got, take a picture, general condition, and they'll give you an offer, a cash offer,
Mm-hmm.
and just buy all of them from you.
Wow.
Textbooks, the ones that are hard to sell on Amazon, all of them. That's the way to do books. So that's, had we known each other at the point where you went and negotiated a tremendous deal, $200 for a whole bunch of books, I would have said, get all the titles onto a spreadsheet, send them to these guys. They'll give you an offer, and a nice offer in many cases, and they really know how to move books. The course is called Safe Book Profits. You can go to provenamazoncourse.com/safe book profits. It's also one of the modules inside the Proven Amazon course. If it's not there now, it will be very soon, like within the next few weeks. And
Mhm.
so, that's the way to do books. Not sell them one at a time on Amazon, in my opinion. Definitely don't pay storage fees at Amazon. But there's some money
100%.
to be made. There's an angle on just about everything once you've been around a while. So,
Yeah, and I never encourage it. So I have friends that wanna start getting into Amazon. I never encourage that because I can tell you right now, I still have some old books, and I wanna cleanse my
yeah,
inventory of all books just because the storage fees. I mean, I'm
yes,
starting to see
yes.
how it
That would be
negatively.
smart to get rid of them, move on, and contact those bulk book buyers. You'll love that course. It's a pretty straightforward course. It really is. It's not a complex concept. It's basically teaching you how to contact and negotiate these bulk book buyers. And yeah, The lady who put it together for us, Dahlia, on our team, her mom makes several $100s a week, just has some fun going around, getting up a bunch of books cheap, negotiating dirt low prices for bulk books. And you can even run ads and say, hey, I'll take your used books. Takes and say, I'll donate the ones that are in good shape to local good causes and such. And the rest, I'm going to, and people just give you books, just
Yeah.
by the
Oh,
truckloads, man, and just flip them out. So it's, it's a nice, easy, cash flowing, zero cost inventory, low cost inventory model, but don't sell them one at a time on Amazon. That's not the
no,
way to go.
no, I don't recommend it. I feel like I got lucky with that whole scenario with the
Sure. You
truck.
learned some good things.
Yes, and I learned a lot. So I also wanted to learn the just how Amazon works. I wanted to print a label, ship it. I wanted to learn the logistics.
Yep.
Once I got into my silent sales, I started to hear the word replan over and over and over. And as simple as it sounds, I was just confusing myself. And I reached out to you a ton. I reached out to everybody. What is replans? I watched modules. It still wasn't clicking. I saw people were posting these different things, and there was a couple times I think I reached out to a little bit of everybody, and it just would not click. Or I would find a replan, and it was like a penny profit, right? And it just didn't click. Once you want me to backtrack, talk a little bit about replens for new listeners?
Yeah. That's what I was tempted. You're kind of reading my mind now that you kind of know what it is.
Oh,
I
it's
love hearing how people describe what it is because it'll click for somebody. I could say it 30 different ways and they're like, that makes no sense. And then finally one new guy comes along and like, oh, well, what it really is. And so what is replens?
it's literally everyday items that people buy, no matter their situation. They buy these same boring old items, whether it's snack foods or a serpentine belt for your car, or those dryer sheets for the dryer. It's just everyday products, but you're looking for what we call underserved listings, or what I've learned, underserved listings. So the reason it took so long to click is because I was so used to scanning things all the
Mhm.
time.
The
Everyone
treasure
talks
hunt.
before I got into this group with you guys. I was doing the same thing, scanning, scanning, scanning. Not
Yep.
I would find that same product on Amazon, see that
Mhm.
it costs more. I'm sorry, it costs less on Amazon than it does to buy it here. So that doesn't make any sense. And then when it finally clicked, I forgot which podcast it was, but it was one where you talked about standing in the aisle of a grocery store, not looking at each individual item, but taking a few pictures. The moment I took a picture and got home and started typing in what I'm looking at versus scanning what I'm looking at, that's when it all clicked. Because,
Right.
like, an example would be Kodiak pancakes. If you scan the back of that barcode, it's going to show you Kodiak pancakes on Amazon, one for one. You're not going to make money off of that. But if you type in Kodiak pancakes on Amazon, I learned my click was Amazon is a search engine. It'll fill in the gap. So if I type in Kodiak pancakes, they don't know which flavor I'm talking about. So they're going to show me a whole plethora of
Hundreds of listings.
hundreds. You see a 2-pack, you see your picture, you see it's 249, you see that the 3-pack is, a 3-pack for 1952 or $25. Then you start doing the math quickly in your head, like, wait, it only cost me $6. It sells for 25. There's some room to make profit there. And so
Exactly.
that's kind of when it clicked. And then I just started to find them everywhere. Even if
Right.
I'm not looking for them, I will
Right.
see them.
Right. They're literally jumping out at you everywhere once the light bulb comes on. And,
Yeah.
and the way one of my favorite ways to describe it, Jonathan, is you're not looking for winning products. You're
Right.
looking for test-worthy ASINs or test-worthy listings on Amazon. As
Yep.
soon as you can flip that switch, and the people that it's really hard for are typically the people who have scanned barcodes and spent time looking treasure hunting for items to sell on eBay.
Mhm.
Those people, for some reason, just can't turn off the part of their brain that think I'm looking for a bargain. I'm looking for a bargain. I'm looking for a low price over here so I can sell it for a high price over there. That's not what you're doing. You're looking
Nope.
for underserved listings on Amazon. Because even if it comes up, I mean, and I've given 60 examples from my own Amazon account in our free Facebook group. There's a link at silentjimdotcom to our free Facebook group. Jump in there. You'll see
Okay.
60 examples where the buy box on Amazon, the typical result Amazon shows a shopper is, say, $20 for this item. It's selling for $20 at Walmart. It's selling for $20 on Amazon. I'm
Mhm.
selling it several times a month for $30. How? I'm not the lowest price. I'm never winning the buy box. How? Podcast episode 554 explains how, followed by podcast episode 555 and then number 612. So that's just another strategy. Once you grasp the basics of replens, you're not even just looking for ones that have an obvious opportunity. You can look for ones that have a not so obvious opportunity and do really well because the premise there is just to help people start to connect the dots.
Mhm.
You don't want to think of Amazon as a single warehouse where everybody in the United States goes and shops looking for the lowest possible price. If that's your perception of Amazon, you got it wrong. Because what
Mhm.
Amazon really is somewhere between 150 and 200 warehouses spread out all over the country with limited inventory in every single one of them and a whole bunch of rabid shoppers who want stuff right now. 2 hour
Mhm.
delivery,
Yeah.
literally now. They don't care if they got to pay 7, 10, 15 more dollars to get it right now. And if your unit is sitting in a warehouse near somebody who wants it now, which is how millions of people shop, well, you're going to not have to worry about the buy box.
Yep. You're just cooking that last minute dinner. You need that turkey baster now. You're gonna.
Exactly. They don't want to wait 4 days to get it from the East Coast if they live on the West Coast at it and save $3. No.
Yep.
So you're not price sensitive. You're not a price sensitive seller. You'd really, and that's why I call it ignore the buy box, man. Stop putting so much weight on that buy box line on the data chart for these Amazon products. It's a different buy box all over the country to begin with.
Yep.
And you can go well above buy box on millions of ASINs and still make consistent sales. We teach you how to do that. That's part of the training we do. But thank you for taking the time to explain the basics of replens.
Yep.
Obviously, there's so much more that we could say and teach people, but just to hopefully start to open up some people's eyes. And I love hearing it in a new and different way. Each time I talk to a student who's doing replens, it always comes out a little differently. And maybe that'll be the switch that flips for somebody and that aha moment for someone. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and it will come. Just those of you who are starting, that switch will come. It'll start to make sense, and if it helps you, I'm to the point where I choose. I'm kind of picky with my replens. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I don't want that one. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, $5 profit, but that's all right. I'll come back to it. Like, it's. I kind of have a nice dialed in system. I'll put it on my BOLO list, be on the lookout list, but they're so easy to find. It just has to click. It just has to click.
yeah, yeah. It
Well,
really is kind of a feast or famine thing. And until that switch flips, it just feels like there's nothing out there. And if you're scanning barcodes, yeah, I feel for you. That's a tough way to find winners. You
that's
talked about
exact
typing in. You go home and you type in, your example was Kodiak pancakes, I think you said, right?
Yeah,
I might even just type in Kodiak mix. Right.
yeah,
You make it even more generic because they make all kind of different cupcake mixes and stuff, right? I'm just guessing. I don't know the brand that well, but or just the word Kodiak. Okay, now you're going to get cameras and camera related equipment and stuff. You're going to get all kinds of stuff, right? But you can just start scrolling and looking, and you kind of start to notice, okay, that looks like it's underserved, right? You investigate a little bit. Can I go buy that product somewhere? Where can I buy that product? Right. But if you use the Amazon shopping app on your smartphone, you're going to get different results than if you use a laptop.
yeah,
And you're going to get different results still if you're logged in as an Amazon seller in Seller Central and you type in and search like you're going to add a product. So you can
wow,
get multiple different. You talked about Amazon being a search engine and giving you results. You can get different versions of those results. You can move from one zip code to another zip code and get different results.
yeah,
And just so it's just endless off of just a couple little keywords. And
mhm,
then you start looking for these underserved ASINs. Instead of scanning barcodes and looking for winning products, you flip that switch, you start looking for underserved or test worthy listings. Yeah, they're everywhere. Literally
yeah,
millions is not an exaggeration. Yeah, but it
yeah.
requires that mindset shift that some people struggle with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep going on your story, man.
Yeah. So I did really well with replens, and I started everything with $500, no credit cards. I had no choice but to start with books, essentially. Like for inventory, that's
Yeah.
the only why I started. Once I once I started to make a little bit of profit from that, which again was that treasure hunt, and I started to get into replens, everyone kept saying things like inch deep, mile wide. And even that, I didn't understand what people meant by that. I kind of learned the hard way early on. I kind of went a little bit too deep on some products. I did end up selling out and made my money back. Didn't make a crazy profit, but I learned something. So it wasn't a negative experience because that's how I personally learn. I dive in, I make mistakes, I see why people say what they say, and I correct it. So just kept going. I went to every grocery store. I scanned products. I started to learn about um, different ways of sourcing, getting into different tools like tactical arbitrage. That's how I started, and I just kept going. I gave myself a goal every day. Okay, try to find at least one or two replens every day, or if not every day, then maybe 5, 6 a week. Put them on a list, go back home, do some homework, study, and then I did a lot of test buying. Once I got past the mistake I made, I just kept buying small quantities, 3, 4 units, and kept testing them. If they did well, then I would punish them. I would do 10, 15 units more per month, and then just kept it going. I stayed consistent, doing about $5,000 gross. So I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. My first month, I did $2,000 gross sales, and I was on top of the world. I was like, $2,000, like I had $500. I don't even have a credit card. Like this is that's when I was really hooked and decided to go in a little deeper.
When would you
And
say this was your first month of sales? You had $2,000, and this included books too, I'm assuming, right?
yeah, a little bit of books.
Yeah.
So I started in December. January, February was still a little bit of books. There were still some there because keep in mind, I sold out of more than half of the books I had to one seller that was an eBay seller. I didn't want somebody joining Amazon to run into the same problem as me. I just couldn't live with myself to just sell to another
Yeah.
Amazon
That was
seller.
good of you to do that too, by the way.
Yeah, I just could not do it. My friends praised me for it because I had a lot of people tell me that they didn't sell on Amazon. I'm like, dude, if you're lying to me, like I'm trying to help you so that you don't run into this. If you sell on Amazon, this is not good. If you do eBay, this will work for you, I'm sure. So yeah, so my first solid month of replens, I would say would be February. I did $2,000, give or take a few $100s in sales just on replens. And I think I had about 14 replens, or no, like
Right.
13, 14 to begin for January to February. And just kept scaling up from there, doing it, repeating that process. It became easy to find replenishable items. My problem was capital. I didn't have a crazy large capital to begin with, so I wasn't able to just, you know, go crazy, but I was jotting everything down. I knew once I got this payment, then I was going to test these units. Got this payment, I'm going to test these units. Oh, this one did pretty well, so I'm going to put this on my good pile, my really good pile. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then I just kept repeating. That was just my method.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I would,
it's a very prudent, cautious, conservative method, but it's highly advisable, even if people have a lot of funds at their disposal,
right.
because quite often people who have plenty of capital to put into this thing, they'll get too confident too fast. And
Yeah.
like you said earlier, inch deep, mile wide, they throw that out the window. And what we mean by inch deep, mile wide is I would much rather see you have 1, 2, 3 units, a handful of units of multiple different types of products. So product A, I got 3 units. Product B, I have 2 units. Product C, I have 5 units, right? I'd much rather see that versus here's a product I found. It's great. I love it. I'm going to go buy 300 units and get a 15% discount because this is such a great product. That's what we see people get overconfident and do. And inevitably, It's a huge mistake because as soon as you get your hands on that product and you've paid and the invoice and it's shipping to you, someone bigger, badder, with more funds, a faster mover than you, who's more well connected, been in the industry longer, buys 50,000 units of that thing and throws it on Amazon for half of what you just paid per unit as the
Yep.
sale price. Like, oh no, what am I going to do now? Right. That's what we
Yep.
say, diversify and wade in nice and slow. That's what the inch deep, mile wide means, as opposed to inch wide, mile deep, which is going super deep on just one product. Don't
Yep.
do
And
that.
that's so important.
So you almost have an advantage coming at it, giving yourself a limit. Some of our best success stories are people said, I'm not spending another penny above X price for everything. And until I have more money coming in, none of this is going on a credit card. That discipline you develop and stepping through your business that way, and I'm talking a few thousand as a cap. You don't need tens of thousands here.
No.
$500, that's great. We've heard stories people start with $200, never use a credit card, roll it over, roll it over, roll it over. Now they're paying off tens of thousands of dollars of student debt, building a real business. And a very relatively short period of time, because the ROIs can be beautiful as you do this the right way. So
Yep.
well done. I just wanted to fill in some gaps. Thanks for your patience, Jonathan. I think the listeners, hopefully the new ones, will appreciate that. Many people have heard me say these things many times, but the basics are important. The foundation of this thing is important.
Yep.
Okay, so you are finding a handful of ASINs. We're about what, 9, 10 months ago. You had your first $2,000 month. What happened next?
After that, I just kept repeating the process, and I would set benchmarks. Just keep doing the same thing. Go to different stores, look at different methods of acquiring new ASINs, and then during all of this, I started to dabble with, not necessarily dabble, but I had a curious mind. So I like the consistency of this, but I like to also learn. So I just remained the sponge, kept learning, kept diving into other things, which for the first 6 months it was the same. I did the same thing every single time. Go find new ASINs, test buy, new ASINs, test buy. And I found some juicy ones that were very profitable, and so I'd buy a little bit more. It was a snack food item, by the way. Had an expiration date, but a very long one. And I was just like, man, I'm the only FBA seller on this. Nobody else is touching this. And so I sent in five and they sold out the same day. Hmm. Or I'm sorry, like once they received it. And so I would up it a little bit more, but I never went above 20, 30 for the month because I've always heard you say just, inch deep, mile wide. But I was tempted. So I see why people would want to do those things.
Right. Of course.
That ASIN today is not doing so hot, and there's a lot of sellers and they suppress the buy box. People were just shooting that price way too high. And you know I have a couple units in there. I haven't dropped my price or anything, but it just wasn't moving like it was originally.
Sure.
Moving forward, I started to hear people talk about bundling, and even that I didn't know what they meant, so I was intrigued and I started to bundle. I would my very first bundle, and I'm super super nervous, by the way. I've never really been live like this, so forgive
Oh,
me.
no, you're doing a great job, man. You're telling a great story. You're being very helpful. So, yes, it's just two dudes hanging out, right? Other people
Yeah,
will listen to it later, but just two guys hanging out, sharing your story. It's all good, man. You're doing great.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. So I got into bundling, and how I got into bundling, and the reason I'm kind of stumbling is because in my mind, I'm trying to explain it to where I'm helping somebody else, but also trying not to just throw out terms that somebody might not know. That's what's kind of jamming me up a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, that's a it's an acquired skill. It takes some time. I
Yeah.
what I try to do when I'm explaining the processes and the business models that we have around here is I always kind of have one ear attuned to someone who's brand new. So when we use an acronym or a term phraseology, I try to briefly explain it, but there's always more to learn. So it'd be impossible for us to, completely tell somebody everything they need to know. That's an oversimplification that serves no one. If we pretended we could tell everybody everything they need to know in a brief fashion. No, I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years, Jonathan. I learn new things. Some of the most basic lessons I should have learned years ago will come across my radar. I'm like, Why
Mhm.
have I never known that? That's so obvious. I can put more money in the bank. I can improve my processes. I can go faster. I didn't even know that tool existed until
Right.
just now. How's that possible? So it's a learning journey. So we can't possibly accommodate everybody and teach them everything. But I do appreciate you staying sensitive to the new listeners who might be a little confused by some of the terminology. But that's more my job than yours. You just go ahead and tell your story. And if I hear something like I think that needs a little explanation, I'll take care of that, buddy.
Yeah. So, some of the ASINs that I had that were doing really well, I kind of paired that with this thing called bundling. I didn't know what it was. I reached out to a few people. I forgot his last name, but he'll know who I am. He might even chime in on this in the comment section or so. But yeah, so some of my good ASINs, I started. Let me backtrack a little. So I started to learn about bundling and how people would put a unique item with their branding on it and how they would have full control over the listing and they wouldn't have to worry about people, tanking the prices and things like that. So that really intrigued me. I said, well, this sells really well. If there's, 44 drops on this ASIN just hand over fist year after year, and this is the only one of its sort. I look down at Amazon and I see people also buy this with this. What if I just launched my first bundle? I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do brand registry. I didn't know how to do any of that. So I just kept replenishing my ASINs that were doing really well. I stopped sourcing so I can learn what bundling was. I learned about getting brand approval. I learned all of the basics. I don't want to say the boring stuff, but I'm saying the boring stuff because this isn't my creative moment. It's more of my learning and absorbing and trying to put pieces together. So I learned about getting brand approval on a product, getting brand approval so that I can create my own listing. I learned how to trademark my brand. I learned how to acquire brand registry. And once I kind of started to put those puzzle pieces together, I decided to launch my first bundle. I didn't do any research. I didn't know if it would do good. I didn't know anything about keywords. I didn't know anything. I just went with it. Like people are doing it, I'm just gonna try to do it and let's see what happens. The moment I tried to create my first bundle, I was hit with an error code, 5665, and oh gosh, what does that mean? Click on it. Oh, this is not approved, or you have to send a picture with this affixed to the product. And I'm thinking, well, this is not my product. I'm bundling it. I'm the guy bundled. Where do I put my affixed logo? So I started to research that and then figured out how to do it. And I put my branding on my packaging and threw in a few unique items and just finally got past that hurdle and successfully launched my first bundle, which is it's an accessory. It's it's an accessory for cleaning your grill, like a griddle top, stove top. And I just threw it out there, see what happens. And 3 weeks later, after it finally arrived to Amazon, I got my first sale, and I was like, no freaking way, no way babe, babe, check this out. I just sold this one. No one can jump on this listing. I'm brand approved and I was able to do this. And look at that's my logo on there. Like I was so excited, kind of like my very first book. It just rekindled it, but this time it was 10 times stronger. It became really addicting. No way. That bundle I still sell today. That bundle I did it, what was it? July? I launched it in July of this year, and
Right.
it's one of my replens.
Six
My bun
months later, still
Yep,
flying off the shelf for you. How's it doing? How's it perform for you?
it's doing really well. My let's just say my buy cost is $19 and my sale price is at so
That's awesome, dude.
it's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
I
it
love it.
does really well. I just started dabbling more. I didn't really have any ideas. You can get stuck when it comes to bundling. Like, where do you get ideas from? Anyone who wants to learn, I tell them learn replens first. Get your list of replens and just start being creative. What would go well? How could you solve somebody's problem? I look at reviews of some of my ASINs, see what people are saying, what's bad, what's good, and see if I can add something to enhance that that listing. And that's kind of what I lead with Now today I have 7 bundles, and I don't want to miss this part of the story. I have 7 bundles currently. Some are doing better than others. One I just launched 2 weeks ago, and I got into PPC a little bit, not knowing what to do. Just clicked a few buttons. I watched Jimmy Smith's podcast on PPC, and I got my first sale today for that my newest.
Congratulations, man. Hey, sorry for the interruption, but I've got to remind you that Seller Board is the sponsor for today's episode, and they're doing such a tremendous job supporting this community and this podcast. So many happy users. Many of the leaders on our team use this tool. What does it do? Well, among many other great features, it helps you know which of your products are profitable. All those Amazon fees and expenses, you can finally know exactly how much money you're making on the different products that you're selling, which ones you should be paying more attention to and which ones you should probably cut out. Don't use your intuition or instincts to make these decisions. Use a tool that tells you the numbers. Sellerboard is very easy to set up. It's very thorough, very detailed, has a great reputation among many, many, many sellers in our community. Hundreds of us are using it. So thank you for sponsoring this community seller board. Jump over to silentjim.com/numbers and check out the offer they have for this community. Just a few dollars gets you started. Let's get back to today's show.
I got into PPC a little bit, not knowing what to do. Just clicked a few buttons. I watched Jimmy Smith's podcast on PPC, and I got my first sale today for that my newest,
Congratulations, man.
fresh, brand
Yeah.
new one. And I had a feeling that that one was going to do really well. I have nothing but great. I haven't even. If I check my seller account, I'm very confident that I have a few more sales, but I'll save it for later.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, so yeah, just a little bit of paid ad strategy. So you're getting into some of the proven branded bundles, content and concepts with your
Yeah.
story, which is what we like to see people graduate from replens into that. And you did it
Mhm.
relatively rapidly, and you're still doing both, which we love to see. You're bolting
Yes.
down one concept, you're not abandoning it, you're continuing to scale and focus on its profitability and growth, but you're constantly in learning mode as well and adding on new streams of income. And again, the beauty, like you already stated, of having your own branded bundle is no one else can sell on that listing unless it's items they could easily go get themselves. But even then, if it's under your brand and your brand registered, these are all things we cover in the Proven Branded Bundles course,
It's,
which is going to be added into the Proven Amazon course collection library. Probably will be by the time most people hear this. Early 2024, it's going to be added into the Proven Amazon course. Right now, it's a separate module, but just tremendous training from people who are doing it. What you described, we have sellers in our community doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in branded bundle sales at great margins. And it's on listings that no one else can hop on and compete with them. Yeah, it's a great business model. We're going to have some good people at our conference in May who are doing it at scale in a big way with lots of good lessons to learn. So hopefully you'll be there. That's theprovenconference.com is the website. We'll stick a link in the show notes to our May 2024 Orlando event. You going to plan to come to that, Jonathan?
I haven't gotten the tickets yet, but I 100% plan to come. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. So
Oh, excellent. You're right down that way. Well, yeah, that's a no-brainer, man. We're right across from SeaWorld and a great resort. Yeah, love to have you guys come over, bring your family. You mentioned you got some kiddos. That's going to be great.
I'm so excited to meet everybody. That's like, it's going to be amazing. I can already picture it. Everyone, I know Michelle went to the last one. She's such a good person, by the way, Michelle, who got me, into this group. I'm so grateful to her, grateful to you guys, to everybody. It's just been nothing but positivity, and you can't help but share that positivity, even if you're
Yeah.
having a bad day. If you just go into the Facebook page, and you'll see everyone's got your back. It's so funny. I like to look at other pages, and I just see like the two different two different animals. If you
Yeah.
go to any other FBA community, any Amazon community, everything is just so negative. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. I tried to do what Michelle did for me. Go in there and rescue people as well. Come on this way. There's a few
Yeah,
people.
and do you know what's at the heart of that? You've probably heard us mention it before, but do you happen to know off the top of your head what's at the heart of, it's not like we just push a button every day and say, hey, everybody be positive. I pushed the positivity button. Right? It's like, how do you have an open community with people having conversations, constantly contributing to each other's conversations? And just so you know, the number of posts that we delete or remove is like maybe one a day from some clown spammer or something. It's not like we just delete out the negative. We
Yeah.
don't do that. There's plenty of conversations where people are going through very real challenges and struggles. So it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to put on a happy face kind of scenarios because business is brutal at times. But
Right.
still, it maintains that air of positivity. Do you know why that is? What's at the heart of that?
Faith, God.
Well, yeah, for me personally, absolutely it is. We have plenty of people with different worldviews, though, who enjoy and benefit and contribute to the mindset there. So I would absolutely say without having that biblical foundation, I wouldn't be able to oversee a group like this. But I'll tell you this: it's the abundant versus scarcity mindset, right? Abundance versus scarcity, and you can really dial in. Uh, there's scarcity everywhere in our culture.
Yeah.
It's the cake versus candlelight analogy. Have you heard that one yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, since you haven't heard it, there's probably some listeners who have, but I'm going to share it again anyway because it's the most powerful visual that illustrates what's all this positivity coming from. So, all of us are forced to choose, kind of like we're forced to choose how did the universe begin? Was it an accident of chemicals floating around and explosions that happened and nothing turned into something and it just happened? Or did God do it? Right? Like we all have to kind of just, there's no other really options out there, right? It's like it's one of the two. It's the same thing with your worldview about success. You have to decide how you feel about success. Success is either the equivalent of a cake sitting in the middle of a large room with people lined up around the edges of the room,
Mhm.
forks in hand. And when someone sounds a horn and everyone rushes for the cake, some people get some people don't. And if you're one of the lucky, fortunate ones who trips and steps on other people, you get some of the cake. If you're slow, no cake for you. A lot of people, I would argue, at least half of most people of any given crowd would say they see success as that. You got to be lucky, fortunate, fast, know somebody, win life's lottery. That's the only way it ever happens for you. And someone else gets bigger piece, that means a smaller piece for you. A
Right.
lot of people see success through that lens. We choose to see success through an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. Abundance, meaning success is more like candlelight. Imagine that same room now, instead of us all having forks and a cake in the middle, we've all got candles. None of them are lit except for two or three. And if you want to make the room a little brighter, all you have to do is light someone else's candle. It doesn't take anything away from your candle to light another candle. Pretty soon, we're all just kind of lighting each other's candles. And we got a
Mhm.
nice, brightly lit room that we can all enjoy. Success is more like that. It's not like the brutal contest for the last piece of cake.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that a cool analogy? Cake versus candlelight. You'll hear that all the time in our
Mhm.
community, and it's a nice analogy for, hey, okay, you got a struggle right now. Let me help you figure that out. I'm going to learn something helping you figure it out. There's always a positive. Opposition always leads to opportunity every single time. It's not like we're just choosing to be happy people. We know that the way the world works is where there's opposition, there's opportunity every single time without exception. That's an abundance mindset. Scarcity mindset would say, oh no, opposition, I'm going to look for some people to complain to so we can all feel sorry for ourselves because everything
Yeah.
out there is terrible. Right? It's a choice you make.
You
It's
don't
a
win.
mindset.
Yeah. You just don't win.
Yeah, nobody wins. In the scarcity mindset, everybody loses in the end. In the abundance mindset, everybody wins in the end. And it's a choice you have to make. And it's a the deep and unfortunately, the default setting for the human brain is the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work, and it does have to trickle from the top down. But that's one of the qualifications to be in leadership around here is an abundance mindset, meaning there's a lot of opportunity out there in the future that we have not even discovered yet.
Yeah.
Versus oh, the game's about over, guys. This is going to end badly very soon. Like, oh,
Mhm.
that's just not how the world works. If you have the right mindset, there's always more opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And especially, I
Absolutely.
mean, and it's not, we're not making stuff up. Amazon's growing like crazy. The number of shoppers coming online. E-commerce is only
Mhm.
15% of our economy right now. It's going to be 20, 25, 30, 35. Amazon's half that game. It's growing like crazy.
Mhm.
Opportunity everywhere, but it's still a choice you have to make.
Even if I started again today, totally, I would totally take the journey all over again. And it's, I won't, to me, Amazon's not going anywhere, nowhere anytime soon.
Well, even if it
It's,
does, the skill set you have now to seek
yeah,
out products and move them. In the Hebrew
Mhm.
tradition, there's only two ways to have a successful business. All businesses are based on one or two models: hands or feet are the models. Hands, you build something, make something, create something, and bring it to the world. Feet, you take something from point A, a place of low perceived or actual value, and you move it to point B, a place of higher perceived or actual value.
Yeah.
And you provide value in transporting it, moving it, or you can create it. That's all the internet does, is it makes it a lot easier for those of us who are creative and determined to move products from point A to point B, a place of low value to higher value, and get paid well to do it. Most
Yeah.
businesses operate on that model. They're just moving stuff from the equivalent is moving an iceberg from the middle of the Atlantic, where it's useless, to the middle of the Sahara Desert. A lot of work and
Right.
energy involved.
Right.
But you've just provided a much needed resource to an area that'd probably be willing to pay, because there's
Mhm.
desperation for that product there,
Yeah.
right? Amazon's created a platform for us to be able to do that.
Mhm.
That's what we call it,
And
test worthy ASINs, underserved ASINs. Go find an
yeah.
opportunity to serve an audience
Yeah.
that's sitting at home saying, "Hey, I want this now. We got a party tonight.
Mhm.
2 hours
It
from now,
allows
you
you
can be
to.
on my front porch." Amazon can't do that themselves.
Yeah, that's true. And this platform also allows you to just be creative, think outside the box.
That's right.
One thing I wanted to mention, not to go backwards, but the last 2.5 months, I had to heavily rely on Amazon to supplement my normal income because I still have a normal job. I work a ton, but my work, my normal job, my bread and butter, it
Right.
completely plummeted. I mean, I I lost about 60% of my income just at random. Just no one expected it. Nobody expected what was going to happen next. There was no warning. I had to heavily lean on Amazon and heavily keep my faith in what I'm doing because it was a struggle. I had to start over again, mildly. I had to use a lot of my profit because how I was growing is I was just recycling all of my profit, happy to throw it back in the business. I love to spend money on things to make that makes me money. That was just my pattern, right? Well, I had to take out a large chunk of Amazon's pay and use it for normal bills, right? In that moment, I had to pause a lot of replans because now it's like, okay, I have to do this or I have to replenish this. I
Mhm,
have to do this. This is
mhm.
priority in that moment. But my faith kept me creative. So in the time that I wasn't able to send replans, I had to pause for a little bit. It gave me an opportunity to go to the drawing board and start creating bundling ideas because I had already had a few launched at that time, but I just kept creative, kept getting creative, kept getting creative. I started to plan out the bundles I was going to launch in sequence. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Once I have the money, I'm going to do it this way. So, what I started to do was I'd buy a UPC code, get that bundle ready, get it on Amazon, listed FBM because I didn't have to wait for Amazon to
To
receive the
receive it
order.
and check it in and put it up
Right.
for sale. Yeah, you
I
can it's up for sale
needed,
right now, guys. Come and
yep,
buy it.
yep.
Right.
I needed to just turn it over quickly.
Yep.
And then it, I'm so grateful because it helped me supplement that income so that I can keep on doing it. It's not a great feeling. It's a grateful feeling, not a great feeling. Because I just lost something here, but this had my back.
I love you
And
said your faith kept you creative too. Just let me just riff on that for just a second, because another thing about scarcity and abundance, we talked about the two mindsets. When you're in a place of scarcity, it destroys the creative part of your brain. Modern psychology would tell us this. It's
mhm,
equivalent to being in a place of fear.
yeah,
You're not going to write a great book when you're afraid, right? All you're thinking about is self-preservation in that moment. It takes an abundance mindset. It takes the faith of a better possible future, that there's good things waiting for me out there on the other side of this, to maintain creativity that's required to be a successful business leader. That's another benefit of the abundance mindset, because abundance says no matter what things look like today, the possibility, potential of a better tomorrow and next month and next year is still out there for me, for my kids, for the people I love. It's still out there. I just got to maintain my commitment to heading and looking in that direction
Yep.
versus, the
Yep.
equivalent of curling up in a ball and complaining in one of these Facebook groups about how terrible the world is now and how
Exactly.
much everybody owes me.
100%. Just like they say, misery loves company. So I try to stay away from all that. I have 3 children that look up to me. They kind of keep me on my toes. My daughter, she's my oldest. She's 10, and I don't know if she gets her creativity from myself or from mama, but she's a very creative girl, and she'll keep me on my toes and just kind of,
Yeah,
like, daddy, like, all right, what'd you do today for Amazon? All 3 of my kids, they're out there grinding, helping me, packing boxes, everything.
that's
And
amazing.
I paid them in a Robux, which is a
Yep.
currency for the game
My kids did that
Roblox.
too. It's been around a while now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
My
the
kids were
best
all in
thing
it.
is
Actually, my mid 20 something kids jump on Saturday nights and play that together still frequently, I think.
yeah, that's funny, yeah. They don't want normal payment, they just want that. And I do the same for them. I like to see where their mind's at. I mean, I could tell you till I'm blue in the face, like some creative things I've done in my past, but that would be for another podcast. But my daughter, we kind of motivate each other. So my daughter started her YouTube channel about 4 months ago, and she just had this vision and went with it and started to draw different things and went from 0 subscribers to about 600 subscribers. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is not only to, you know, give her a shout out for her channel and what she's doing, but more so to kind of share with you how we got to this next thing that I want to share with you, or next thing I want to show you. My daughter said that she wanted to start selling her merchandise on YouTube, to her subscribers. And I said, Sophia, I said, you got to have something. You can't. What are you going to sell them? You can't just come to me and say, I want to sell something. Like, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I said, okay, draw something. Draw something for me, and then I'll help you. So she drew. I don't know if you can see this. It's a little character. You see that? I think.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, for those who are listening and can't see, it's just a great little figure. It looks like a girl with a star on her shirt. I can't tell what it says.
It says Sophie Animates. Okay, that's
Sophie
her.
Anime. Oh,
That's her
she's
YouTube.
talented, dude. That's really good.
Yes. So once she did that, she said, Daddy, well, I want to sell my product. How do I do it? I said, okay, well, once you got the drawing, I'll hire an illustrator and I'll have them make a keychain, which is this right here.
And you've got it. Yeah, for
Yep.
those who can't see. Very well done, man. Nice, colorful little keychain. I love
Yep.
it.
And I just recently purchased a UPC code, and I'm going to create a listing on Amazon just for her since I'm brand registered, I'm brand approved. I have the tools and knowledge to get this out there, and all the sales she makes from her keychains, 100% of the proceeds go to her to help
That's
her
awesome,
keep
dude.
growing. But she's so excited. She keeps me excited, and
Yeah.
I love this because it's 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 just you can really go far with this. That's what I've learned. I mean, you can really the
Yeah,
sky's the
and
limit.
continue to encourage those entrepreneurial instincts inside of your kids. And I I have a theory. It's just a theory, but I'm getting more confident all the time that you'll hear some people say, "Well, not everybody's an entrepreneur." Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. I'm
Yeah.
pretty stinking sure they are.
Mhm.
Because as a Christian, I read in the Bible that God is a creative God who serves, loves. That's when we're made in His image. What is
Yeah.
entrepreneurship? It's creatively serving other people from a place of love. It's taking
Mhm.
risks. It's saying I'm going to delay my own gratification to serve others well in the hopes that it comes back to me in a positive way,
Yeah.
that I can continue to do so later. We're all entrepreneurs. We're all designed to be entrepreneurs. So we say, well, no, I got a job. Well, okay, you've got one customer,
Yeah.
the person who writes your paycheck, right? Some of us choose to have multiple customers. We're all
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. We're all serving with excellence, making other people's lives better with the gifts and talents we have. Encourage that in your kids. It's one of the most valuable skill sets they can ever possibly have is that mindset of, I'm going to create something that the world will enjoy and appreciate. And
Mhm.
they're going to pay me so I can continue to serve well
Yeah.
many other people
Yeah.
without needing donations. to do
Mhm.
the good service that I'm doing of making other people's
Absolutely.
lives better, right? That's the mindset we need to have. So to
Mhm.
instill that in your 10-year-old, that's going to pay huge dividends. She will
Yeah.
blow you away in her 20s. I'll tell you that right now. My kids are.
Um,
It's just amazing the creative solutions they come up with
mhm.
for challenges and the things they try. And my instincts, I'm like, I'm not sure that's going to work, but I'll let them make their own mistakes. And then boom, it
Mhm.
blows up into this. I'm like, what? That creative instinct. I love it. So yeah, well done, man. That's great. I love that we spent some time on that.
Yeah. I think my whole family, we naturally have a giving slash teacher's heart. You know, occasionally I'll get people who reach out to me, even though I consider myself still really new at this. I'm still learning. I'm still grinding. I enjoy everything about this, from boxes to logos and investing and buying tools that just make me more efficient. I love all of it, but I really love when when people reach out to me and ask me questions, because reach out to me with questions about little tiny things that I once had questions about. I'm so eager to help that
Mhm.
person. I'm so eager to see them succeed. I love to see people win, so the questions that I get, from bundling to where did you get your trademark, all these different things, I'm an open book. So for anyone listening, if you have questions about anything we've talked about today, I'm an open book. I'm happy to share details and information about
Well,
exactly what
it
you're doing.
sounds like you're on a coaching trajectory to me because one of the things that you'll soon realize, especially now that you've kind of said this in front of a larger audience, is what do you do when you wake up one day and you got 150 people in your inbox saying, "Hey, I don't have any money, but will you coach me to success?"
Mhm.
The trick is you got to figure out which one of them are serious, which one of
Right.
them see the most value in what you have to offer.
Mhm.
That's how our coaching program was born because I was in a very
Yep.
similar place 20 years ago. Okay, I'll help
Mhm.
anyone anytime with anything. Then I found myself spending 3 hours with people who were just picking my brain and kicking around about 50 other ideas they were considering. And I found myself thinking, man, I don't know who's taking me seriously. I don't know who really appreciates what it is I'm sharing. And there's one magic way, there's one beautiful way to know who sees value in what you have to
Right.
offer. That
Mhm.
is charge some money for it. I'm not
Yep.
against helping friend out for free, give them a few tips. And that's what our free Facebook group is. I mean, I would
Right.
argue it's the most success filled, helpful, positive discussion forum, not only in all of Amazon, but all of e-commerce.
Yeah.
And it's completely free. But if you're
Mhm.
going to take up hours and hours of my time, I'm going to need to know that you're serious and that you see value in it. And it's going to head somewhere positive for both of us in the end. Because I need to, I've only, there's a limited resource I have. It's called time. I got to make sure I'm using it wisely as a steward, working
And
with people.
both parties win doing it
Both
that way.
parties win. When
Both.
there's payment involved, both parties
Mhm.
win every
Yeah.
single time if you're
Oh,
working
yeah.
with someone of competence. That's what our coaching
Definitely.
program is born out of,
Yeah.
right? But we'll help people for free with little tips and strategies all day. But I'm just saying, now that you've said that, Jonathan, in front of that these not to make you nervous again, but our average episode will get viewed eventually about 30 to 50,000 times over the next few months. And so you have plenty of people reaching out to you. I would encourage you, send them back into the funnel that we've created that helps create success stories, because you can get overwhelmed very quickly. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons I wrote a book was because I had just had a long line of people saying, "Hey, can I take you to lunch sometime and pick your brain?" Only so many free lunch brain picking sessions can I do, guys, before I
Right.
got to identify who's really
Mhm.
serious here. Who's going to
Yeah.
take what I say and actually do something with it? And the one best way to know is people are willing to put a little money into the game. Doesn't have to be a lot. It has to be enough to where they're serious. Um,
Yeah.
that's another one of the business segments that we run here. But yeah, great stuff, man. I love your teacher's heart, and you're definitely on a leadership trajectory. I can just tell
I appreciate it.
the mindset, the abundance mindset, the teacher's heart, the successful business been built. Those are our prerequisites for leadership in this community. So I can see it happening, man, for sure.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just grateful to be a part of this at all. I mean, I can't express how grateful I am for this group, for the friends that I've made. I've made some true great friends. Like, I'm talking about, I we just talk over Zoom call. I'm sorry, over like Facebook videos, but I'm talking about like such close friends that if they were to come to my house and I meet them face to face for the first time, like my house is your house, like that close, like lifelong friends. I've learned a lot through all the courses from Amazon 101 to OA replens. I mean, I've learned a ton, and the modules are just, they're so well put together. Can I share one thing too? I paid
Absolutely,
for a
yeah. I
course.
love when people talk positively about the Proven Amazon course because it really is kind of my life's work.
It's just so, one thing I judge something on, like if I start a course, right, and it's just one 7-minute long video of just somebody talking, and that's it. I can't do that. Your course is all, it's all modules, so it kind of breaks everything down. It makes it feel like you're part of an actual course, like at a university. You just feel like, okay, this is what I'm learning about. Okay, so this is step one. You go back, you pause it, try it out, go back to here. You can always go back and watch the clips, and it's just so well put together. I applaud all of you guys, everyone who put in all the work for all the modules. I mean, it's there's a lot. I mean, it doesn't matter which direction you want to go. I always tell everyone to start with replens, but it doesn't matter if you want to go private label, if you want to go towards proven partnerships, proven bundles. I mean, there's just a course for everybody. Everyone finds their own cup of tea. My cup of tea is bundling and replens. Like I leverage replens to get more knowledge, to see, status data, how well things do, and then it gives me creative ideas to do my bundling.
Yep.
This last month, just on my bundles alone, I did over $4,700 in sales just on my own bundles. That's just my bundles,
Yeah.
and that's a big benchmark for me. I can keep doing that. My brain is always working. I owe it all to you guys. You know, I'm grateful for you and everybody. So thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Well, you may have heard me say before, but one of the reasons I started this community at all, instead of just doing it myself, I started teaching. I think that bubbles up out of an abundance mindset, right? Like if you're in a room full of people who need their candles lit and you've got a lit candle, it takes a different kind of person than one I'll ever be to say, no, I'm not going to light your candle. Like, come on, dude, it doesn't cost you anything to light someone else's candle. It's like
Right.
a little bit of time, right? Spread it.
Hmm.
One of the reasons I got into that was because I knew the benefit I had as a dad getting to come home from a corporate career that was sucking up a lot of my time and seeing my kids grow up. And my wife was able to homeschool, and we did these things as a family, and we traveled. And like, I want this for other families. I want other dads to feel what I'm feeling. I don't know what it feels like to be a mom who gets to be home. I can't relate. I don't understand. That's a different
Right.
role. But
Yep.
being a dad that gets to be home, I understand. I want that for as many dads as possible. The content and curriculum works for anyone, obviously. I have to say that every time because people are like, oh, what? You don't think your stuff works for women? Like, no, these are concepts. Anyone can pick them up and run with them. But I
Yep.
wanted to create that feeling that I had of achievement as a dad for as many
Yep.
dads as possible, that feeling of
Yep.
security, providing, protecting
Hmm.
from a place of confidence. The internet offers that option, flexibility. It's a beautiful day outside. Let's go play for 6 hours instead of working
Yep.
today. I can work tonight. It's Amazon. I can do it whenever. Take a couple days off, travel, do whatever, pick up the internet. It's in my pocket anytime I need it, do a little bit of work, check in with the team.
Hmm.
You can build that without taking any big risks. I want that for other people. So to
Yep.
see you doing what you're doing, that's the reason why I started doing what I'm doing 20 years ago, is to have, my vision wasn't big enough. I was thinking I want to impact a handful of guys. The team that God's surrounded me with now, I mean, the ripple effects of what's been built here it's well beyond anything I can take credit for. I'll tell you that, but it's significant. And it's a blessing, man, just to do the best part of my job. I say it all the time, getting on the
Yep.
podcast with people like you. Some of the biggest heroes we have are single moms who are using this content to navigate life successfully and
Yep.
build a beautiful future for them and their children. So rewarding to spend
Oh,
time
for
with
sure.
people like that who,
Hmm.
it goes
It's
from being monopoly money, almost pretend money that doesn't feel real, to like, wait,
right.
we just paid the bills with that money. Like, this is
Yes.
very real. And
Very, yes.
that
Very real.
transition you make of like, oh, this is play money. I'm turning $20 bills into $60 bills and it's fun.
Yep.
starts paying that suddenly that's paying the bills. Like, that's a
Mhm,
transition in your mind that it's significant and it's very liberating, right?
mhm.
Opens up
Yeah,
so many possibilities.
absolutely. And I've grown to this point personally, all working full time, giving and when I get home from my normal job, my time with the family is it's them first. Sometimes I get home at 7 o'clock, so bedtime's 8 o'clock. That hour is not Amazon. That hour
Mhm.
before bed is just them. We go
Yeah.
outside, do something, play a board game, but it's 100% dedicated to them.
Good for
Amazon
you.
starts at 10 o'clock at night.
Wow.
I had a lot of learning, business building, and very late nights. That's when I started and still had to be up at 6 a.m. And it's just, it becomes addicting. It doesn't feel
Mhm.
like work. It just feels
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
like I'm building a business. I feel like a
Yeah.
business building warrior. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Warriors do what it takes to get the job done.
Keyword, do what it
Yep.
takes.
Yep. I
Uh,
love it, man.
yeah.
Beautiful. You should do the math sometime, just to, separately. We're not going to do it right now, but just,
Yeah.
what kind of results per hour are you producing for the time spent building your own business? And you'll see that number slowly climb. 20, 25 bucks an hour, 50, 100, 200, $300 an hour net profit in my pocket for every hour I'm working. And you want to maximize that. And you want to get to the point where, like I did a podcast episode yesterday with someone who took 2 weeks, traveled with his family, checked in with his team. He's building a multiple seven-figure business, doing the stuff we're talking about today. Nothing
Right.
different between his business and yours, besides the amount
Mhm.
of time. He's about 3 years in,
Yeah.
focused warrior level effort. And
Yeah.
he's got a team now that does all of it. So what's his
Mhm.
hourly rate? What's he do? Count the time he spends swiping and reset, refreshing his stats. It's like he's built a business, man. He's built something someone else could step in and take over. He's built an
Mhm.
asset. He's built an
Yep.
income producing asset. He's no longer exchanging time for money. So you
Mhm.
go from a few dollars an hour, 20, 25, 50. If you keep scaling, keep going, new streams of income come into
Mhm.
play as possibilities. You built an asset. The partnerships, you talked about some of these friendships with the quality people you've met in this community. Every one
Mhm.
of them represents multiple partnership endeavors that you could like, hey,
Yeah.
let's tackle this together, man. Let's figure this out. Let's
Mhm.
create a slightly new way to do this thing and let's bring it to the community. You get paid well to do that around here, right?
Yeah.
Because our community has learned, hey, if they're promoting something, it's worth paying attention to.
Right.
They're willing to pay people to see value in it. So yeah, plenty of opportunities there, man, for future growth. Hey, this has been a great episode, but I do need to start wrapping it up,
Yeah.
actually. But I do want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything on your list, something you wanted to ask me, any other final points you didn't get a chance to make? I'd love to hear any details along those lines that you
Um,
have. Don't want to cut you off.
no. Well, if anything, I wanted to ask, and I don't know if this is a silly question or not, but my
I doubt it.
one question I had was regarding PPC. And if you should do PPC on both FBA listings and FBM, like if it's the same listing and you have it listed as FBA and FBM,
Hmm.
should you do two different campaigns, or should it just be one campaign for either? So
Oh,
I never really understood what drove the traffic.
yeah,
I just started doing it, so
yeah. Understood. Well, since you brought up the topic of PPC, which is pay per click advertising, I will tell you this. The vast majority of people who get into it end up losing way more money than they'll ever make in returns. The vast majority. So
mhm,
proceed with caution. And as replens sellers, I'm not educating you so much right now, Jonathan, as I am the listeners. With
right,
replens sellers specifically, you don't need pay per click. You may set up a $2 or $3 a day budget, or that's probably the most you'll ever spend, no matter how big your catalog is, on these
right,
little, 2, 3, 5 cent ads kind of thing, just to try to drive a little more attention to the listings that you have on Amazon's catalog. And some people report, and our account included, it's a nice return on investment to spend a few bucks a day and
mm,
drive some extra traffic to your replen listings. But when you start talking about launching your own listings, and by the way, one other thing I do want to say about pay per click is unless you have the buy box, your ad does not show. It's only the ASIN that has, excuse me, it's only the seller that has the buy box whose ad is exposed at any given time. When your product
right,
moves out of the buy box, let's say there's 50 sellers and you're not in the buy box very often. When you
Mhm.
are, your ad will show. When you're not, your ad doesn't show. So it's regionally sensitive as well across the
Sure.
country. But
That's good.
FBA versus FBM is should I be running two different campaigns? I'm guessing here because I haven't actually ran into that. We're not doing a whole lot of this on products that we FBA and FBM.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure, though, that you can cover both with the same ad. But that is a great topic to get into our free Facebook group and post. And I'm sure you'll get some incredible, insightful comments. It's actually way better
Right.
for me to refer people into a group of thousands of really smart people than to guess myself at the details on that. So that's a
Right.
great example of a question. And I'm glad you brought it up because it allows me a chance to promote our free Facebook group, silentjimdotcom. Thousands of successful sellers in there, encouraging new sellers. And we'll dive deep on a tech issue like that. Absolutely. It would surprise me if you don't have 5 or 6 really good answers within a few hours. Just get on there and say, hey,
Yeah.
got a product. I'm selling it both merchant fulfill and FBA. How's
Yeah.
pay-per-click work on that? What strategy should I be looking at? You'll get some good answers there.
Oh, for sure. I feel like, everybody in the entire group, everyone's on a race to be the first one to answer, like, "Oh, I'm gonna I wanna be the first comment."
That
Everyone's trying to hurry up and light
it's
everyone's candle.
indicative of the abundance mindset. Again,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
wait to light someone else's candle. I just had 6 people
Yeah.
run up to me to light mine.
Yeah, that's
And I hear
amazing.
people all the time say, I feel like I need to give back somehow. I've had so many people pour into me. I feel this need, this urge
Right.
to just pour into others,
Mhm.
which is why newbies are made. Some of my favorite posts in the Facebook group are when a new seller says, okay, I've been struggling for 6 weeks, guys, just made my first sale. And I don't even know if I made a profit or not, but I'm excited. And you'll get
Um,
250 people jumping in, commenting, clicking like and love and
mhm.
encouraging them. It's like, who has time to do that? It's a
Yeah.
special group. It really is.
100%. I've learned so much. I have that, abundance mindset, and, I gained it just from the group alone. I mean, I've had it for the most part, but I gained more from this group. I feel like I wanna light people's candles. it doesn't matter what I'm doing. When I see those posts, I'm so excited. I'm not just writing, I'm excited for them. I genuinely feel
Yeah.
excited for them. It's just an amazing thing.
Mhm.
This is the group that you wanna be in for sure.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that. And it's not, I don't ever want it to be considered my group. I'm a part of this group. It's more of it's a, uh, it's a culture that is in alignment with how I think. And
Yeah.
that's an abundance. And the only way to get into an abundance mindset is to have a heart of gratitude. So, without even knowing much about you, besides the conversation we've had today,
Mhm.
you're the kind of guy who, if you were challenged and someone slid you a piece of paper and said, write down 100 things you're grateful for, you could do it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that would struggle to put together 5 or 10.
Mhm.
That means you've been stuck in scarcity too long.
Yeah.
But I don't know that much about you, but I know if I slid you that piece of paper, you're like, hey, I need a second and third sheet right now. And I'm not even done talking about my kids yet. Right.
Yep.
Like it's just, you come from a place of gratitude that is, you have an abundance mindset as a result. And I know for me, a lot of it flows from my faith, my walk with the Lord. And I've got so many things to be grateful for at any given time. It's one of the little self checks that I encourage people to do throughout the day, especially if you find yourself slipping into a bad attitude, is just say, okay, I'm going to spend some time, write down 10, 15, 30
Mhm.
things I'm grateful for.
Yep.
Instantly destroys that scarcity mind. You can't
Mhm.
be in a scarcity mindset and grateful at the same time. It's
Yep.
impossible. It's
Yep.
kind of like fear. You can't be
Mhm.
in a place of gratitude and fear at the same time. It
It's
destroys all
impossible.
these negative emotions. Gratitude's
Mhm.
powerful, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, so to be in a community of people who have that in abundance, yeah, powerful stuff. Well, any other questions before we wrap up, Jonathan? It's been great getting to know you, man.
Well, actually, yes. I guess I don't need a hotel. I was gonna ask I was thinking about getting a hotel out there, but it's a 40-minute drive. We don't need a hotel for the conference. So definitely gonna be there.
Well, I would
Uh,
encourage you, actually, that's actually a really good question. Should you stay on
yeah.
site? Because I'll tell you this, to people who don't regret it, typically, unless you're staying at like a nearby Airbnb with like 25 other people and you rented a
Mhm.
big place. Some people have fun doing that, right? But I would strongly encourage, if you're coming to the Proven Conference, that's our May 2024 event in Orlando, theprovenconference.com. If you plan on coming, stay on the resort. One, we
Okay.
got a beautiful room rate. It's ridiculously discounted room rate. And the next is just the walking around late at night. You can sit outside till 11 o'clock or midnight or 2 in the morning and you're around other people who are with the event. You don't have to worry about
That's
getting
true.
home. The kids are already asleep, right? They're there with you as a family, especially. You want to
Mhm.
stay at the resort if at all possible. You'll be so glad you did versus having to
Yeah.
get in your car and leave at 8 because the kids are getting tired or whatever, right?
Right, right.
The
Yeah,
resort
having
has
it.
multiple things for them to do. It's a nice, safe, big courtyard in the middle of the buildings, with all kinds of outdoor stuff till all
Yeah,
hours. Just yeah,
that that's a good
you'll want
point.
you'll want to be at the resort for sure,
Yeah,
man.
and then I think my decision is made. I'll definitely stay on the resort because I can imagine just having a great conversation, just a good dialogue, and then, "Oh, man, it's 12 o'clock. I gotta start driving 40 minutes back home. Who wants to do
No,
that?"
you don't want to do that, dude. Trust
No.
me, you do not. It'll be worth every penny to get those rooms and have a good time, make some good family memories.
Yep.
Head over to SeaWorld, maybe one of the evenings with some other families. Yeah, it's you want to be there.
Yeah,
All right, man.
definitely.
Well, I've got to wrap this one up, Jonathan. I'm out of time, buddy. But I
Alright.
could just sit here and chat with you for hours. This is a favorite part of my job. But you've been a great guest. I loved getting to know
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Yeah, likewise.
Very
Alright.
good. All right. Well, God bless you, man. Well, let me talk to the listeners for just a second. If this was one of the first episodes you've ever heard of our show, let me do you a favor. I encourage you. Go listen to 10, 15, 20 episodes. This was not an unusual thing that we just did here. The encouragement, the camaraderie, the success. We've got hundreds of episodes like this. So we'd love for you to go check out a handful of them and see this is real. We love e commerce not because we're geeks who love technology. We love e commerce because it can be the ticket to the freedom, financial security, the future of your dreams. And we've seen it happening for so many people. We want you to be a part of that as well. Around here, we use the internet creatively to launch and grow the income streams and businesses of our dreams. That's what we do. Love to have you be part of it. So, hey, Jonathan, one last time, man. Great work. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. See you in Orlando in May, if not before then. And for all the business building warriors out there who joined us today, God bless you as well. We will have another great episode for you very soon. Talk to you then. Hey, thanks for listening today. One last shout out to today's incredible sponsor, Seller Board. You can go check them out at silentjimdotcom/numbers. And if you don't know what they do, here's a quick reminder. They help you know which of your listings on Amazon are profitable. Which products should you cut out of your inventory? Which ones should you maybe go a little deeper? It's not an instinct based decision when you're thinking about your inventory. Use a tool that can help you make really good decisions. They have a whole bunch of other cool features as well. Get over to silentjimdotcom/numbers and find out more. Thank you, Seller Board. We'll have another great episode for you very soon.